So organic isn't completely dead. The model has just really changed. And if you're still trying to scale your info offer completely organically, you're likely a year behind the market. So in this video, I'll be breaking down the exact hybrid model, how it works, why it works, and how you can use it to overcome unpredictable months in info, really unpredictable lead flow, overall reach on socials organically, growing your brand, and how the idea of growing your brand isn't aligned and congruent with having predictable potential customers step into your pipeline to sell them on your programs month by month. And so the key point to remember here is that organic still matters, but not alone. It's not going to work by itself, and I'll explain why. And so in the first place, the reason why pure organic stopped working is due to overall saturation, content fatigue, audience distrust, everyone's posting the same scripts, overall just a crazy amount of volume on these platforms in the first place, making it really hard to compete with the guy that's putting out insanely high quality content that has lots of money, time, and effort put into it. When really, if you're in the info space, you're running an ecom business, you're doing Amazon, something like this, then posting cool videos is likely not what you care about. You want to grow a brand long term, but posting cool videos, dancing around, not really your thing, and I totally get that. But in the current stage of where the market's at, getting attention purely organically, it's being rewarded, it's being handed over to the people doing just that. It also creates no authority layer when you do pure organic, the standard, basic way that people have been doing for the last 5 years. And of course, there's usually no depth when it comes to organic, unless you build a real ecosystem around your personal brand and content like I have for myself, and just like we do for clients. And these reasons right here are actually so applicable to the ecom space specifically because it's such a big market. It's such a big space. It's one of, if not the biggest ecom space that has been around since the dawn of time. It's been around for 10, 20 years or so, and it's been around forever. So there's been lots of people stepping into the space, growing their brands, running up their offers to super high numbers, showing other sellers and business owners that that's possible, then encouraging them to hop into this space as well, create the same content, and compete for the same eyeballs and the same attention. So competition is really high, at least on the organic front, where views and reach is not guaranteed, and it's usually not predictable for 99% of people. And so what we need to do here, if we're building a legitimate business with consistent lead flow, customers coming through the door, while still building our brands on the back end for trust and to have a long-term asset, is we need to implement the hybrid model, which is at the current time really the only scalable model, which consists of not only organic but also paid. And so the main gist of this is that we have different layers, right? We have an authority layer, familiarity layer, paid acquisition, and back-end conversions. These are all the layers, components, and pillars that make up your acquisition system that all work on the back end, that if you're working with a team, you're not just doing it yourself, also shouldn't take very much time out of your day. It should be taking like at most 3 to 5 hours out of your calendar on a monthly basis. And so the authority layer mainly consisting of X and YouTube, and this is content, right? This is X content, which if you do it right, takes none of your time. This is YouTube content, and that's really the main bulk of your workload that you're filming. It's the highest leverage type of content to make. You have your familiarity content, which is short form, and this is where most people go wrong. This is the main premise of the video, which is organic. And so when we talk about organic, we think viral short form videos. And so this is probably the most competitive component of all of content, of all of organic, because there's such high volume of shorts going out there versus long form content posting on YouTube. Shorts are a lot easier to make. People can spit them out rapidly, especially leveraging AI to do so. So there's so much content in people's feeds. People are seeing so many new faces. And so it still makes sense to get out short form content to build up a familiarity bias, to be top of mind, to be there, to feed Meta more data so that your ads perform better. So it still makes sense, but it's not the highest leverage type of content, just like X isn't the highest leverage type of content, because you're not spending the most time with your customers, giving them the most value, sharing with them everything about your story, and inviting them to see what that bridge looks like that they'd be crossing if they were to work with you one-on-one, join your program, and get your help. And so that's why YouTube is the most important type of content. And when you do it the right way and you have a high leverage strategy, it can actually turn into a system where YouTube is really the only thing that you film. When it comes to the bare minimum mandatory things to do to still grow your business, still build trust out there, you can spend 3 to 5 hours again filming 2 to 4 YouTube videos per month, bi-weekly uploads or uploads every week. You can then take that content, turn it into short form content that is engaging, that is quick paced, that then sends people back to your YouTube. You could then repurpose the same touch points, put it on X, again, send people to YouTube, and you can have a really good time spending not much time on the short form front, where most people are investing loads of time chasing trends, trying to adjust their style of their captions, trying to do all these little things to tweak reach, because it is a shiny thing. Because we do see business owners, and people in the info space step in, post a few videos, gets 1 million views, it just blows up their program like like that. But what we have to understand is that that's not a guaranteed outcome, and especially month by month, it's not fully something that we can rely on. And so that's exactly where paid acquisition comes in, with running meta ads, having a predictable funnel that's proven, running some sort of a great one in the beginning as a VSL call funnel, running short form content that are ads that are evergreen. These are going to stick around, not something that you film one time and just post one time, but ads that you're backing by a budget, and you've figured it out, and you've back tested the data, you've back tested the funnel, the sales process, the setting process, and you figured out that with this funnel, with this entire campaign overall, when I give Meta $1, it usually gives me $3 back month over month. So that's a predictability that we're looking for. And with all this other content, we're really aiming to do two things. With our X, YouTube, and short form content going on TikTok, YouTube Shorts, and Instagram, we're looking to do two main things, which is to, number one, put more odds in our favor on the ads front. What does this mean? This means, number one, build up data organically on Instagram, on other platforms, so that your ads will perform better. What this specifically means is being able to make custom audiences, lookalike audiences from your data just on Instagram, the Meta platforms alone, but also overall add to your ecosystem. Because something you have to understand is that all these big social media platforms have backdoor deals, meaning X is selling their data to YouTube, YouTube is selling it back to X, YouTube is selling it to Instagram, Instagram selling it to YouTube. It's one huge circle of these guys selling all of the data because they want to be completely in the consumer's minds, knowing what exactly they want. What this means is if we have a really strong YouTube presence and YouTube has all this data about us consuming their content, they then sell that data to Instagram. Instagram and Meta's job when you hand them money is to push your ads to people most likely to convert. And so it's going to have a great return working with you as the advertiser, serving that content, serving those ads to an audience that's likely to convert. And if YouTube has this data on all these users watching our long form videos, interested in our brands, potentially interested in our programs, they're going to sell that data and they're going to push it to them. So we want to stack all these odds in our favor. We want to build up all this data. And that's point number one. And point number two is also just building brand equity. It's building brand equity long-term, looking at it like a long-term asset, and also reaping the rewards of cost-effective organic leads. Leads that come through the pipeline that maybe didn't see any ads, or they did see ads, and that's another thing. But let's say they didn't see any ads, but they were nurtured by the short form content. They saw some short form videos, it got their attention, it got them familiar. They're like, I like this guy and I know this guy, but let me go to his YouTube. Let me go to this 15-minute roadmap video, or this 15-minute video breaking down how he went from working at McDonald's to running a 6-figure profit per year ecom business. They go to YouTube, they get sold on YouTube because they spend that time with you, and then they, DM you on Instagram, ask for more information, or they just book a call right there through your opt-in or Calendly on YouTube itself. Those are cost-effective, free leads that we're getting just from organic. So organic is great to have a low-hanging fruit of cost-effective leads, make your ads better, but also increase the pathways at which people can convert. Here's the other example. To go back to people seeing an ad and then going to organic, let's say someone does that. Let's say someone sees an ad on Instagram, they go to your profile, but they want to first consume more content. And so the ad catches their attention, your short form videos get them to like you a bit, then they maybe go to your X, or they go to your YouTube, and they book the call from there. And so as we see in that pathway, they likely wouldn't have converted if your organic ecosystem to pre-sell them with content, get them to trust you, not by sitting there on a sales call for 2 hours and explaining to them, but stacking all the undeniable proof of case studies, processes, your story to get them to buy in by simply inviting them into a story through your personal brand, through your content ecosystem. And so that's another reason right there why it still does matter. And so in a nutshell, organic warms, ads scale, and backend converts. And so what hybrid solves is audience skepticism, low conversion rates, inconsistent lead flow, long sales cycles, weak trust, and platform dependence. These are all pretty straightforward, but to highlight some of these key ones, when it comes to long sales cycles, let's say you're building brand equity and growing your personal brand, posting a lot of short form content, YouTube content, maybe you're on X. No matter how direct your content is, you're most likely going to have a longer sales cycle than if you were to throw direct response into the mix, because there are levels to how much you can sacrifice the reciprocity in your brand by asking for something and selling too much. That definitely adds a cutoff and overall ceiling to your growth on organic, because you can't be asking all the time. Organic and growing a personal brand is a reciprocity game of giving, and then maybe asking every now and then. And so what that's going to do is increase your sales cycle drastically. It's going to make it so the only leads really converting are these leads in the perfect position with the cash, with really, really high intent. That might be 5 or even sub 5% of your market. But if we throw in direct response into the mix, we have a diversified campaign with multiple different ads that we're backing with capital to push to the right audience that Meta has data on that leads them to believe that this lead would most likely be a lead that's highly likely to convert. This play is not going to damage our brand equity because it's aside from our organic content. The leads are seeing it. They know that it's ads. If it's getting served to them, it's most likely and hopefully something that they're actually interested in. They have next steps because it's a direct response ad. They click the link down below, they watch the video, they book the call, much shorter sales cycle. And so with organic, you don't want to sacrifice killing your brand by selling too much, because most people engaging with your organic content won't be buyers. That's just how organic goes. It's a volume game. It's casting a wide net, reaching a lot of people, and then weeding out a lot of these leads with your organic sales cycle, which is a longer cycle. And so you don't want to ask a lot. And so throw in direct response to the mix. That is your ask right there. And if you're building brand and organic at the same time, Meta's going to have more data to sort through to push that content to warmer audiences of people that likely have already seen your face, but they've never heard you ask of something. They've never heard you ask someone to take an action to move further down your funnel, because rightly so, you don't want to sacrifice your brand equity and reciprocity with your organic audience. Now, the reason why it works for ecom specifically, because as an ecom operator, you know that someone else in the ecom space, whether they're just getting into it or especially if they're already in the game, they're going to respond to, at the current stages of the market, logic, depth, expertise, consistency, and proof of thinking. Unlike other spaces where people are bringing up new buzzwords to explain business models and selling the shiny next best thing to complete beginners that aren't in business, the ecom space, people in the space and people really looking to seriously get into this one thing, not the people with shiny object syndrome that are just starting out, they are more sophisticated, especially after running through so many different creators stepping into the space, so many different gurus selling them things. They know that most of the market is saturated with those courses being marketed towards complete beginners, but at the same time, they have this specific issue. They're looking for real applicable help with just that one thing, which is scaling their ecom business. And the only way we're going to be able to get that point across to our market is if we explain it with logic, depth, expertise, consistency, and proof of thinking. And most of that actually happens in our organic sales process. We push most of these messages and get these across with our personal brand, with the extensive content that's there, with our YouTube content. That's the main thing, is being that YouTube content, getting them to YouTube. It's a critical part of our funnel, catching their attention in the first place with our direct response or with our X or with our Instagram, with our shorter form types of content, sending them back to YouTube, having the DM process, having the sales process. All of this has to be congruent with these points right here. And so ultimately, this system is built on the backbone of long form and paid traffic, giving them all of these points right here. And that's going to wrap up this video. Hope it was valuable to you. And if you are an ecom operator, you're running an ecom business right now, whether that be a Shopify brand, private label brand, you're doing Amazon, online arbitrage, or wholesale, and you're clearing 6 figures per year personal take-home profit, and you're either running an info business right now, you're stuck between 10 to 20K a month, you can't break through, you can't bring in new leads, you can't charge more, or you're fresh to the game, just getting into it, and you want to take that expertise that you have now and monetize exactly what you know to turn that expertise and knowledge that you have into a step-by-step playbooks to take people through the same exact steps that you took to get you to where you are now. Then I'll leave a link down below in the description where you can learn more about what we do for ecom operators scaling in the info space. You can see if it's a good fit for you, book a call to speak directly with me one-on-one. We can take a look, see how it fit in your brand and offer specifically. But either way, I hope this video was valuable. Subscribe for more like this, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.